All right, so if we look at this, let's go ahead and take a look at question number 8 on the worksheet, which was 6 over y plus 4 minus 4 over y minus 4, which was equal to 4. Now, on the worksheet, it was y squared minus 16, but I'm going to go ahead and when I write that down, I'm not going to go ahead and write it down that way. I'm going to write it down as it was when it was factored, which would be y minus 4 times y plus 4, which is the difference of two squares. All right, so what you're doing here is step 1 is your common denominator is that y minus 4 times y plus 4. Now, because this is an equation, and I can only do this because this is an equation. I take the common denominator over 1 and multiply it by every term. So what that means, and the reason I do this, is for the sole purpose of being able to cancel this out. So I take and multiply this by y minus 4 times y plus 4. I take and multiply this one times y minus 4 times y plus 4. Same thing here, y minus 4 times y plus 4. The whole idea of doing this is so that this one, the y plus 4s will cancel out. This one, the y minus 4s cancel out, and over here the entire different piece cancels out. And again, the whole idea of doing this is to cancel all the fractions. So I'm going to go ahead and what is left?
6 minus 4 equals 4.
Be careful, it's the 6. Let me go ahead and move this up a little bit.
6 parentheses, y minus 4.
Make sure you keep, absolutely, make sure you keep it in parentheses. It's going to be the fact that I have 6 times y minus 4. Watch to be careful that we don't forget this is a negative sign there, right? So that's now a negative 4 times y plus 4 is equal to 4. And again, that idea, and we can only do this, what I have here in blue, that idea of multiplying by the common denominator over 1, I can only do that when it is an equation, when you have that equal sign. That's the only time you can do that. Now, I'm just going to move this up to give myself a little bit more room, is we just have to solve it. I distribute my 6. Distribute the negative 4. Again, make sure you watch that negative sign. So when you go through and multiply that out, it just becomes 6y minus 24 minus 4y minus 16
minus 16.
is equal to 4. The signs, really important, right? It's so easy to do all of the steps right, but make a small error with your signs. Okay, now, just a quick review. Remember, this is an equal sign, correct? So when you are on the same side of the equation, you are combining like terms. So, yep, so that just will give me the 6 minus 4, so that would be 2y. And then the 24 is negative, and then 16 is both negative. So since they're both negative, what do? No, it's combining like terms. You have to add them, right? And it stays negative, so it becomes a negative 40 is equal to 4. So again, remember, if you're doing work on the same side of the equation, you add and keep the signs if they're the same, subtract if they're different. Now I can go through and Here, I'm on different sides of the equation, so I'm doing the opposite. So I add 40 to both sides.
Divide by 2.
Yep, and now I'm left with 2y is equal to 44, or y is equal to 22. All right, so if we go ahead and look at another one of these, I want to also go ahead and look at number 10. Number 10 was 5 over x plus 2 equals 11x plus 1 all over x squared plus 7x plus 10 minus 12 over x minus 5. All right, now we have to factor all of plus 5. We have to factor all of these. Now, I'll give you a hint. Most of the time when you factor them, you can look for clues in the other pieces. When this factors, this is x plus 2 times x plus 5. So your common denominator here is just x plus 2 times x plus 5. Now, because we have an equal sign, we multiply the common denominator over 1. Multiply every term by that. So this I multiply times x plus 2, x plus 5, x plus 2, x plus 5, x plus 2, and x plus 5, with the sole idea of canceling out all of the denominators. Now, when I go through and do that, what are you left with? The 5 times x plus 5 equals 11x plus 1. And again, just be really careful. Watch that. That is a negative sign when you bring that down. It makes that a negative 12. You have to keep everything else over here in parentheses, so that would be 12 times x plus 2. All right, now we just have to go through and distribute and solve. If I multiply this out, you get 5x plus 25 is equal to 11x plus 1. Now, remember, this is a negative 12. I'm distributing, so make sure you multiply both of those pieces by a negative. So now I have minus 12x minus 24. Yeah. So again, when you're doing this, if it's on the same side of the equal sign as it is over here on the right, the 5x plus 25 I don't want to do anything with right now. But over here on this side, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and combine like terms. I don't do the opposite. So I have, with this, I want to combine the 11x and the minus 12, which gives me just negative x. And then I want to go through and combine a positive 1 and a negative 24, which gives me a negative 23. Now, at this point, with my equation, I want to get the x's on the same side. So here I add x to both sides. And at the same point in time, I'm just going to do this in one step, I'm going to subtract 25 from both sides. All right, so this over here would cancel out. On this side, I have a 6x. These x's cancel out, and then over here, I'm going to add those two together, and I get a, what? No, the signs are the same, correct? So I add them together, and I get a what? And that's always really nice when you know negative 48, because now at this point in time, I divide both sides by 6. Yep. Okay, so first thing you want to do with this, the first rule of factoring is factor the GCF. It's the one that most of you, if you didn't know how to do this question, you didn't see. So if I factor the GCF out of that, now I have x over 2x plus 1 plus 2x over 4 times the quantity of x plus 1 is equal to 2x minus 3 over x plus 1. All right, now I'm going to do this one a little bit differently because I want to show you a different method. So this time, what I want to do is I'm going to do this by finding a common denominator. So this time I want to write each fraction with the denominator of 4 times x plus 1. Move this up a little bit. Again, this is just a different way of doing this. It also reviews how to find a common denominator, right? So when I do this method, I ask myself, what is each fraction missing? And when I do this, you have to multiply that same thing by, remember, this is the top over the bottom must be the same. So this fraction up here is missing a what? It's missing a 4. So I multiplied this one by 2 over 2 because that will give me a 4 in the denominator. This fraction has everything I need, right? So I don't have to multiply this one by anything. This fraction over here is missing a 4. So I'm going to put a 4 in the top and the bottom. Now, be very careful when you're doing this. You either can multiply each term by the same thing over itself because that is equal to 1, or you can go through and do this the way I did before. You can't combine the different methods. It's either method that we used before or this one. So if I want to go ahead and continue that, that would give me what? That gives me 2x over 4 times x plus 1 plus another 2x over 4 times x plus 1 is equal to 4 over 2x minus 3 over 4x plus 1. Now, the neat thing about this, even if you would have done it this different way, the same idea is right here. All of the denominators are the same, right? So when all of the denominators are the same, all you have to do is solve for the top. Because remember, the denominators are the size of something. The numerator is how many. I'm solving for x. I'm solving for that how many. So now my equation is 2x plus 2x is equal to 4 times 2x minus 3. You would have gotten to this point either way with either method.
The one we did before for number 10?
Now, on this side of the equation, this is a combine like terms. That gives me 4x. On this side, I go through and distribute, which gives me my 8x minus what?
Minus 12.
Let's finish this one. I'll go through and subtract 8x from both sides. And I'm left with negative 4x is equal to negative 12, or x is equal to a positive 3.